was like so appreciative.
Time to start.
Okay, guys. Here we go. Welcome. Why am I here today? I don't know. No,
Because somebody talked you into it.
I'm gonna talk today about how to have conscious fights or how to have a conscious, loving relationship. And I have a little tool here. How you guys is you all get a copy of my book that I wrote. It's on relationships. It's wonderful. If you feel like you want to give some money, give it to the church later on. But this is last chapter is going to be what we're talking about today.
Oh, you get past that.
Yeah.
Oh, we only need one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good hair. And the lip. Yeah. I've been through, I'm on my fourth and last marriage. Numerous relationships. And what I learned, for me, what I learned a lot, I learned a lot about myself in relationships. You guys know me about the Course in Miracles. When I talk about the Course in Miracles, I don't think that's the only way to learn. It's the way I learn. And so it's many, many ways to learn. You're here, of course, for me because it's my favorite text. And it taught me a lot. So anyway, what I want to do today is I want to invite questions. So if anyone has questions as we're going along, please raise your hand and we'll go along. Because I don't like to just do a lecture per se. So, why do we get into relationships? A Course in Miracles says the purpose of relationships is to heal. No, I got a relationship to have sex, to have fun, to have another friend. But I found out that in the process, stuff came up. And what I never realized that until later on was the stuff was coming up with stuff that needed to be healed. And so the purpose of relationships is ultimately for us to heal ourselves. Harville Hendricks says, as a species, we have not learned how to raise children without hurting them. And think about it, it's kind of true. No matter how hard you try as a parent, you're going to do it. You're too soft, you're too hard, you're too mean, you're too soft, whatever.
You don't think like kids.
Huh? No.
Think like kids.
Yeah, and usually kids don't come with a user manual. So yeah, my mom did not know what to do with me. But in relationships, and I'm not talking about just one-on-one relationships. Yeah, one-on-one relationships bring up a lot of stuff quickly. But relationships you have with the bagger, the relationship you have with our president right now, you have a relationship with him, with everybody. Anybody you meet, you have a relationship. You meet someone and you notice a thought come up, you're already doing a relationship. Go give them a, somebody. Oh, whatever. Anyway, but relationships bring up everything within us. If you lived in a cave as a hermit, you would never have any problems with anybody else because you wouldn't be with anybody else.
You'd have problems with the bats.
With the bats.
Or
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, or yourself. Man, maybe yourself. Yeah.
I went to the desert fasting one time, and I talked to a stupid fly, and I'm going, I'm not talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just.
Oh, Castaway. Wilson.
Yeah.
The wild volleyball.
Morning.
Here, Jerry. We get a copy. If you want to pay, give it to the church. If you feel like you want to do anything. I love this book. This was a fun book. It's got short chapters. You can open up anywhere. It's got little jokes at the beginning, questions at the end of each chapter. I think it's just wonderful. Anyway, So as it says, relationships bring up everything. And you're having a relationship with President Trump right now. You have a relationship with the person who pumps your gas. So it doesn't matter who. You'll notice that just if you notice a thought that comes up, oh, he looks stupid, or he looks fat, or whatever, or I don't like it. And then you get the question, what you find out is maybe you find out something about yourself. So,
what I found out
Yeah.
is that with the Course of Miracles is that I have realized that it's a lot more easier to understand
then to do.
than the King James
Yeah,
Bible is.
yeah,
And it's more like the modern day they use modern day terminology and it's
Yeah.
a lot easier to understand
correct, yeah,
than the Bible is.
yeah,
And it's all for the same purpose. It's to bring us to a higher self.
correct. Yeah, to remember who we are. Yes, yes. You have a question? Oh,
Oh, I get to, all right.
okay. So anyway, there are basically, we found out 4 steps getting a conscious relationship. The first step is you haven't.
I just say when I lived alone and I would get my dog, we'd go out in the desert for 2 or 3 weeks alone and did all that. You cannot imagine how spiritually involved I was. And then I came back and got around you guys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right, right. It's so easy to be spiritually involved when you're by yourself. Yes. Okay. All right, so anyway, there's basically 4 steps in getting a conscious relationship. First off, you start off unconsciously incompetent. You're unconsciously incompetent. That was me as a teenager. I had no idea how to do it and no idea that I didn't even know I know. Then you become consciously incompetent. You know, you have a couple of mess ups, you begin to realize, oh geez, something wrong with me, I don't know what to do. Then you become consciously competent. You're conscious and you're competent. You know, you start to have an argument and you go, oh wait, I always used to yell, I'm not gonna yell this time I'm gonna try. You consciously become more competent. And the last step, which I love, is you become unconsciously competent. Unconsciously competent. You unconsciously begin to start doing the things that you need to know. Yeah, you start relaxing. Before you have a fight, you have to say a prayer or whatever. You begin to start realizing there's certain things that I can do to help. So before we get into fights and all, there's 2 basic laws in relationships. Of Course in Miracles says, you are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. You are never upset for the reason you think. Tattoo that on the inside of your eyeballs or eyelids. You are never, because you think it's about this, it's never about that. Because why is it that somebody can say something to you and you snap, but the person next to you goes, why is that? Because there's something going on, basically from your past. You know, many times in my relationships, when I began to become more conscious, it would, like, a lot of times I would go, you know what? I just realized something. Actually, 20% of my anger is at you, 80% is at my mom. You said something that reminded me of my mom, and I snapped. You said something that reminded me of a bully from high school, and I snapped. You said something that reminded me of a teacher that made fun of me, and I snapped. You are never upset for the reason. Yes, sir. Yo.
Sorry I'm late.
That's right.
Well, first of all, the relationship you mentioned earlier, number 4, was the one you're supposed to live in. You
Yeah.
stay in that.
If you
And,
can, yeah.
and secondly, anger is your anger within yourself.
Mhm.
I'm not living up to the expectations of what you have for yourself
Mhm.
is number 1.
Mhm.
Now, everything else, all of these things out here beyond that, are just simply your inability or lack of desire to change, so that that anger that's reflecting from other people, you learn that that's not where it's from within you.
Correct.
So that anger
Mhm.
is generally, you get mad. Most people get angry, not at somebody else,
Correct.
but at their own inability to live up to expectations that they think they should have for themselves.
Correct. Correct. And the problem is we have an ego, and our ego does not want to take responsibility that I am the one that's angry. And so it projects on you. So you're the one who made, this is how it works. And when we become more conscious and begin to work on ourselves, we begin to realize, oh, my ego's running the show here. And now, why am I angry? We'll talk about this. Well, those of you guys who have learned how to have arguments, it works a lot better if you say, I feel, instead of every time you, every time you automatically brings up, I'm pointing the finger and making blame, whereas I feel attacked when you said that. That may not have been your intention, but that's how I heard it. You hear what I'm saying? I've learned so many times how to speak and share defenselessly. Saying I felt, I don't know if that was your intention, but I felt attacked. And I've had times where someone said, well, actually I wasn't attacked. Okay, thank you. And usually then they'll say, I'm sorry, but I was attacking you, I was angry, and we get off a lot quicker. Versus, you're attacking me. No, I'm not. And we're back in the old stuff. So you're never upset for the reasonable thing. And the other law is love brings up everything unlike itself. Love brings up everything unlike itself. It's like going into your attic with a flashlight and seeing all these boxes, mom, dad, teacher, all these cobwebs, and then you're angry at the light because it's bringing up all the stuff you forgot. Love brings up everything unlike itself. What happens is when you're in the presence of love, the parts of you that are not healed, the parts of you that need to be addressed, they will go. It's just a safe place. And see what happens is, oh God, I see it so many times. You fall in love with somebody or whatever. And then 2, 3, 4 weeks or 4 months later, you find yourself angry at them. But what's happening is we're becoming soft. We're becoming vulnerable, and we want to make it down because we're afraid of our own anger, our own guilt, our own feelings, our own wounds. If you knew who I really am, you would run screaming out of this room. No, anyone here have that thought? If people knew who we really are, if people knew how petty I can be, and I have found through, talking in therapy that I would do a men's group and I found out there were a lot of other petty men, just like me. And I would go, oh, I'm not alone. But until then, yes.
That feeling can be rectified when you live as spirit.
Yes.
When you're living as spirit, then none of that really confronts you in a way that it might otherwise.
Correct.
Because the spirit is what you live by. Mm-hmm. And those memories of spirit of who you've always been.
Right.
Not necessarily now.
Correct.
But who you've been in the past. Mm-hmm. And learning to live within the spirit of who you've always been as almost a guiding light. Correct. Type of thing, which ties into what you were saying.
Correct. Yeah, and Course in Miracles talk about relationships starting to heal is because we want to actually bring out our spirit. We want to come from a place of, I'm living in a body, I'm having a bodily experience, and I'm having these feelings coming up. But as a spirit, I'm remembering who I am. And I could sit here and judge you for what I think or you're seeing here, or go, oh my God, the reason I'm judging you is a part of me that I judge. And I don't want to look at it. I can open up to that and let the spirit heal it. You know? Yes. Good. This is a lot of good talk.
I basically think that I've come to believe that everything that we perceive is a reflection of our own consciousness, you know. So it's basically the same thing that you were saying, you know, what we see and how we react to it is basically a problem in us, you know. Like one thing that I used to be upset about was, you know, Joseph Stalin. You know, maybe between 30 and 40 million people died because of him, of his policies and beliefs. But, you know, I wouldn't be right here, right now, and, you know, I feel like I have a good life. I live in the richest country and, you know, in history. But so a long time ago, I figured out that I shouldn't, you know, wish ill on him or, you know, wherever he is now. So, yeah, it's dealing with stuff within ourselves is what we're doing.
Yeah. And the way you know you're healing is because you're having fun. I mean, seriously. You know, we get in a relationship to have fun, and then all this stuff comes up. And it's all comes up because we want to heal our own unhealed stuff. That's all. There's parts of us that we haven't addressed. You know, Carl Jung talked about the dark side. You know, we look at our dark side and make friends with it. My friend Laura Smith said, she was our teacher, and she would say, you know, when ego comes up, you go, you know, and she says the truth is, your ego is just as if he was a 6-year-old child that was put in charge of General Motors. You know, and a 6-year-old child will go, you're out, you're fired, I hate you, you know. But she says what you can do is you can grab the ego, hey, come on, you little noogie, you know, I'm not afraid of you, but I have a sandbox. You want to play in the sandbox? You don't try to destroy your ego. You ignore it. Give it something else to do or whatever. So anyway, yes.
I'm enjoying the talk. I'm glad I came today. Actually, in 2 weeks, I begin a program here with called the Bodhisattva Vow that the Buddhist uses to amplify their role here while they're here as a mirror.
Correct.
From themselves to the world in which they want to project themselves. So it's when we talk about love, which I think you're right doing here, you know, it's that love we have within first that must be projected to what we find outside of ourselves.
Correct.
And if we don't have that, then it's hard to know how to manifest beyond us.
Correct. Yes.
And a lot of that is conveyed in what the Buddhist Stefaniak is talking about.
Yeah.
That dichotomy, and many times the ironies that you get into of how you want to live versus how you are living and how you see yourself in doing that.
Yes, thank you.
And so anyway, that whole idea of living from within who you are, which you're talking about now, I think is really good.
Thank you. Yeah, and we'll get to you in a second. You know, it's like, thank you, because you got me realizing why I'm doing this talk. Because it's not just about one-on-one relationships, it's about you and the world. What I feel like at this point in time is we need to do an influx, a giant influx of our love, expressing our love, our love, our love. And the world is, the funny thing is, as I made my progress, as I became more and more consciously, I actually began to invite and laugh at people who got me upset. Why? Because that was something I didn't know I was upset about until they brought it up. And every time that happened, it became like, thank you. God, you got me so angry, and I'm nuts right now, but now I got this baby. I got it. Now I need to take a look at where does this come from? How can I heal this? How can I let this go? And so next time you show up, it doesn't affect me. You hear what I'm saying here? And why I am excited about all this is because I feel this is the time for all of us. I don't think no longer right and wrong or good or bad. I'm just saying people who are not happy and people who are happy. And I want to increase the influx of people who are happy. People who walk into Walmart and say, hey, how you doing? You don't have to be chatting or anything, but you start seeing the God, the Christ in every person. And then you notice the ones where you go, oh, there's no Christ in that person. Ah, why? I can look at it. Because there's something going on with me. Do you hear that? It's always something going on with me. Yes, your question.
Well, there isn't anybody that doesn't have that in them. But Sonia Shepard has a really neat way of dealing with the barking dog, she calls it.
Uh-huh.
And she actually gives it a name. And so when these thoughts come to you, you just still the barking dog.
Mm-hmm.
The barking dog is important if you have to make a train on time or a plane on time, or so that part of your mind is good for functioning in that way. But intuitively, you can't hear your intuition when the barking dog is chattering at you all the time.
Correct.
And so she just says, okay, just still it. And, you give it a funny name like, Fido or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just, okay,
yeah.
you're not necessary right now.
Right.
And that's a really creative way of stilling that chatter. And then you can go and follow your intuition, which is walking in love.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a really neat way to do that. It's just, okay,
Yeah.
you don't need to get my attention right now. I'm doing something else.
Yeah. And I'm going to address that a little bit just because when I was in my 20s and 30s and early 40s, all there was the barking dog. All the time, 24/7. Hold a second. 24/7, all the time. And meditation, for me at that time, did not help because I was trying to shove it down and be quiet. But this is me speaking, guys. Get your own. I went to therapy. I did a whole lot of stuff, but I learned about where the barking dog was coming from, who was the barking dog representing. And over time, like I say, it's a two-part. It's weird because you could do it right from the beginning, learn it, but not many people know how. They feel like they have to know why and how. So I found out why and how and all that stuff, and then feel that. So there's no matter how you do it, and you're totally right about that. Now I have Patty and I have a process I talked about the last time I talked about called assumption, which we just invite the presence of God right here, and nothing can withstand the presence of God. It just love is present. Yes, sir.
The theory of the barking dog came from the caravans on the Silk Road, and they were all traveling on camels.
Mm-hmm.
And the dogs were barking as they proceeded through a particular area, and they would not pay any attention to them because they were meaningless to the journey they were on.
Yeah.
So they didn't pay any attention to them.
Yeah.
And that's where that term came from.
Cool. Okay. Just remember, both you guys, you got to get a copy of my book before you leave.
Oh, okay.
And if you feel like you want to pay for the book, donate it to the church later. Just give the money, or whatever you want, but not to me, to the church. You have a question? Okay. He needs to work. Sorry, Dee?
We've talked about when we get angry or we get upset or anything, but one of the ways that I handled all of that, I didn't get angry and upset because I wasn't going to be like those people. But
That's all.
when we shut ourselves off to life and to needing anything, and we I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be upset, but I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything. I just dissociated from things. You could do stuff, and I was a wonderful codependent and try to help everybody and try to everything. But I had no idea even who I was or what I wanted. And that's the same thing as getting angry. It took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah, that's anger turned inward. Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll get to what else to talk about. This is great, but go ahead. You guys.
So getting back to relationships, my husband and I, we have found that whenever we get angry with ourselves, sometimes it takes the other one to bring that to our attention.
Right.
And say, why are you really actually angry? And we find that talking it out one-on-one, we usually come to a resolution, and then we usually end with building each other up, saying, you can do this. I have faith in you. We can work through this together. I'm your partner. I'm here with you. And so we base our whole relationship on communication.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just where we found success. So.
Hold on a second. You're next. Yeah. I just want to give you an example. I had a couple who were moving from Houston to Colorado, and kids, letting go of a business, moving, all the expenses. Okay, and this was interesting because he was going, okay, we're moving. We're not gonna have a job now, so we gotta save money. And she was thinking, well, we won't have money, so let's get stuff that we need now. And so it led into fights. He was going, you're spending money. And she said, you're a miser. They got in all these fights. And what I had them do is I just said, I want you to share your fears. Share your fears. The worst thing that could happen, share it. And what they found out was they were both afraid of not having enough money, and they both had different ways of handling it. That's all. And then when I said, okay, now, find a win-win here. Find how can both of you hear this and work on your stuff. You hear what I'm saying here? When they realized that they had the same fear, now they were able to start working together, start saying, okay, well, I think we're going to go to Denver, sweetie, and we're going to need parkas and all for the kids, so I think we should get them now. Okay, let's, whatever. They began to talk and share, share their fears, share what's going on. And that's what happens so many times when a couple finds out, every time a couple finds out that they have the same stuff going on. They just have different ways of looking at it. I like to tell people that I had a therapist who, when she was working with a couple, with the person who was talking, he got a little globe of the world, and he held it in front of them as they were talking to remind the other person, this is my world. In my world, there isn't enough money. In my world, everyone's out to get each other. Sure. And then when he was done talking, she would think, okay, in my world, and what they began to realize is there were two different worlds. That's all. But a lot of times the same stuff is going on. It's just, we need to communicate. Okay, how can we win here? Yes, sir.
I have 2 adopted daughters from China. And when we first brought them over, we couldn't really speak to each other. But if we explained to them the reason why we were doing a certain thing the way we were doing it, then that was enough.
Yeah.
But it was without that explanation for them to define for themselves whatever it was we meant, then they were lost. Because we were in a world they had not become accustomed to. But for them, once they learned, oh, that's what I am supposed to do, or that's what you're going to do. So when you talk about relationships and your spouse, whatever, it also can apply to children as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Because that's exactly what's happening, because it doesn't matter if they're from China or from St. Louis. You still have two different worlds, you know? And when you can explain, I hate to show myself as a male chauvinist pig, but there was years when I literally was. I really thought women deserved the same amount of money and stuff like that, but I treated them. I saw them as actually less than. And I wasn't aware of it until it was brought to my a couple of women told me, we love you, Jerry, but you got some stuff going on with women. I go, what? And then when I looked at it, and I had this belief that I knew more than women. It was wonderful when I would sit and shut up, and she would tell me why she was doing what she was doing, which I thought was so stupid. And then I would hear her world, and I would go, "Oh my God, makes eminent sense." I agree. You know, of Course in Miracles says, "Do you prefer that you be right or happy? You prefer to be right or happy?" I was right a lot of times, and I had a couple divorces and breakups because I was right. Very expensive. But when I got, you know what? I'd rather be happy. I think I will listen to you because I want to be happy. I want to be happy with you. You know, now I may not agree with you. I may not agree with some of the stuff that's going on with this country. But I can guarantee you this, if we listen to some of these people who are in the country with their world, you would go, oh my God, if I was raised that way, I would have a son too. If I was told that all the time, I would have, you know, and it is not my job to change your minds or anybody else's mind. It's my job to change what?
Yourself.
My mind. My mind. And for me to find peace, whatever is going on. Yes?
For me, in the last few months, it's just coming to the recognition that there is nothing but God.
Correct.
And if I do not like something, then I'm not liking God. And so the best thing I can do is just go, okay, so I'm God, what do I prefer?
Right.
Rather than decide something else is bad or good or whatever it is.
Right.
It just doesn't matter because I put a label on something that is one thing.
Yeah. And I have found over the years, like I say, you can compromise. Compromise is great, but that means both of you give up something. And I've gotten to the point where let's ask for a win-win. Let's ask where we both feel good about whatever we come up with. And I've had cases where I thought there's no win-win here, there's no way. And that's like saying to God, you don't know what you're doing. You know, you have no idea. And I have found so many times when we start sharing, communicating what I want, and we begin to start sharing and coming up, I've had so many times where I've got the win-win. Yes.
One of the first teachings I learned at Unity 30 years ago, when I went to Unity Delray Beach, was I learned what true meaning of divine order was. I had never really thought that much about what that meant, not only for myself, but globally, you might say. And Unity and the Fillmore teachings really accentuate that a great deal. That whole idea of being in divine order. And what that teaches is beyond just your own divine order, but everything in the world. And as a Taoist, I see that more as a nature, being one with nature, and allowing that things just to occur in their natural progression of who they are, or what they are. But that divine order is really what helps to define for me what that means.
Thank you. Yeah, so one thing I want to just cover, this is great, this is great. I had like 25 points to cover, and you guys are asking wonderful questions. I prefer that more. But the one thing I want to get across, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, the one thing that I found most important when I started learning to open up to a woman deeply was especially for a man. And what we learned actually was Patty and I had a little agreement. And Stav, my past relationship, we did this for 25 years. Whenever we had an upset, it was great. We agreed who would go first, you know. And let's say you and I were having an argument, and I say, "Oh, you go first." Okay. So you don't get to blame. You don't get to, the idea is not to blame every time you. You just get to tell me what's going on with you. Why do you make this decision? Why do you want the color red? Or whatever it is. Whatever it is. And my job is to shut up. My job, and this is the important thing, is, and I've seen it so many times, as the other person's talking, you're getting the defense of it. Your lawyer is going, okay. It's your job is not to think at all. Do not think. You start noticing thinking, you stop. You may even say, hold on a second, stop for a second, because I realized I was thinking. Can you repeat what you said? Just be willing to enter their world. You don't have to agree. You can still say, I don't totally agree, but be willing to enter their world. You don't say a thing until, hold on a second, yeah, just a second. You don't say a thing until when they're done. And then you may say, okay, I want to just, what's your name?
Peter.
Peter. Oh, I want to just get clear with you. Peter, what you said was, but out. And you may say, yeah, but I didn't mean, I meant this. Oh, so what you said, and then when when we get, okay, I heard you, then it's my time to talk, and you listen. And this is where, you're willing to be right or happy. Are you willing to be happy and get what you want? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, this reminds me of,
They can't hear you on the internet.
this reminds me of India, where they used to have philosophical discussions about what Vedanta was really about. Sometimes these discussions would last, like almost a millennial age. And one of the rules was that you had to, in your own words, restate the position of the person that you were debating with, so that they agreed that you were both on the same page.
Yeah.
And then you were entitled to, express your opinion or,
Yes.
show out the weaknesses or flaws in the other person's arguments.
Yes. Yeah. That's and what it is as you realize that everybody is 100% correct in their universe. Nobody is crazy. They were firing at all cylinders in their universe. Not arguing, and they may notice, I've had more effect helping people, not from telling them how to act, but for them coming up to me and saying, you never get upset about it. I mean, I seen your house get flooded. You lost your house and everything. You didn't, what do you do? Probably, Jedi Warrior will teach you, if you're willing. If you want. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's not about, it's finding, once again, when I'm talking about relationships, it's finding peace within yourself. This is what we're working on. When you're working on yourself, the Course in Miracles says, going back to God is like Noah's Ark. We're always going back 2 by 2. You don't go back to God alone. You go back with somebody. Now, I'm not talking about a one-on-one relationship. I'm talking about just your brother out there, your sister, anyone. As you begin to start realizing, I am one with you. The guy in the deli, and, the last talk we gave, I was talking about the 2 drunks that Patty and I walked into the taqueria, 2 drunks were getting all upset and mad. And all we did was invite God in the presence of that. And they were like, it was really funny because you could feel something happening. It was like the guy who was most angry, I feel like he was getting like, damn it, I want to hug this guy, and I hate him, but it was like the sense of just, and it just, and then the guys behind the counter said, look, we'll do this, and they went, okay, and it was funny. funny to watch these guys who just wanted to have a fight to just, and we did nothing. And later on, Patty asked, we ascending? And I said, yes. He said, yeah, I was too. As soon as we walk in, we feel it. We just, we could have walked out. We want some nachos. Do you hear what I'm saying? This excites me. This is why I talk in church. This is why I do these talks. Because I want people, I feel like I found something. I'm not enlightened, nowhere near, but I find peace, whatever is going on. And I still get in fights. And we give it time. Sometimes we're too angry, and we'll say, okay, you know what? All we're doing is yelling at each other right now. Let's just kind of go on our separate cycles, And there's been times when we've kind of made up. You know how these times when you kind of make up, but you still like the dog. I'm the only one who does that. Okay, but when you're doing that, and Patty will say, Patty will say, to test the waters, if I put my arm on you, when I get my arm back, when I get a bloody stomach. Oh, wait a while. Give me another 10. No, I'm serious. If you're innocent, if you're pissy, whatever it is, allow yourself to be there. But don't blame her. Don't blame him. Just allow yourself. I don't want to make up right now. I want to be right. And I found out so many times that after about 10 minutes, it's boring being right. Because I'm sitting there, jokes. Women are after a while, it's boring. Then they go, okay, I'll touch you. Will I get a blade stump back? Yes.
I know that we learn a lot through our relationship in that, but I know there's sometimes I woke up in the morning mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to hurt anybody, but with a feeling like I just want to pick a fight and get mad,
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that Don at least is smart enough. And I'm in it that I can just go, I have woke up just mad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not anything to do with you. So it's best if you stay out of it.
Beautiful.
And let me deal with it. And then you say, okay, madness or depression or whatever it is. We're cleaning toilets. We're scrubbing floors today. And sometimes I go, oh yeah, it does have something to do with him. But most of the time it doesn't.
Right.
And I have to bring.
Yeah. And that is one that you were the one. Yeah, you were the one talking about being such a good codependent. And see, for many years, I was dead from the neck down. I did not know I was angry at myself. She did the best she could. They were not alcoholics. They did the best she could. But she didn't do good. And when I got into working on myself, I found out it was a weird thing because I got mad at her, hated her, angry at her, want to kill her. I love her. Right now, I can't do anyone else. It's just so, but that was my process. You find your own process. I had one couple. I love this story. I had one couple. His job periodically required that he entertain guests, like take them out to a party or something that night. And his wife kind of knew it, and she was fine with it. But one night she was kind of pissy, and he was gone longer than she wanted. And so she go, he was out entertaining, having fun, and I'm at home alone. So she took her pillow and blanket, went to the guest room, and was sleeping there. And she knew at some point he was coming home. And when she came back about 3:30 in the morning, she said, "Oh, I'll go back to bed." She came back. He was sleeping already over there, and he was getting in. She saw on her side of the bed was a little picture of him as a baby. And she says, "I looked at that and I couldn't hate it." It's like, all he did was remind her. We started out, we were just kids, we didn't know what we were doing. And see, there are many ways to heal your arguments or whatever it is there are people. Find your ways. I mean, all you guys have brought up some wonderful, wonderful stuff there. Do you have any other questions or whatever? Remember, if you want a free copy of my books right here. So, and just give the money to the church if you want to pay. If you want to pay anything to the book, give it to the church. Any other questions? We end at 10?
No, quarter after.
Oh, cool. Oh, we got another 15 minutes. Okay. So, back in the Jurassic era. No. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Have any of you ever done this one where you're arguing with somebody and you have a big pop back? You ever had that? You know, say it's just a little T-girl, you'll get her nuts. Just say this word and you'll get her mad. And the good cop said, no, you don't want to go there. Bad cop's going, drop the bomb, drop the bomb. Anyone ever do that? You gotta do like this.
Everybody.
Yeah, and so what I want to invite you to do is, you see the good cop, bad cop? You're not the good cop, bad cop. You're the one who wants it. You're the chooser. That's you. The one that says, I'll drop the bomb, or I won't drop the bomb. You get to choose. And as you become more consciously competent, you begin to start realizing, and go down that stop my past relationships. She was so good, because there would be times when I would want to just keep the argument going, and I would know that one, keep it going. And she was good, and she would go, after a while, she kept down, she was, are you trying to inflame me more? She was, you can't, you won't like what it turns out to. She was Greek, very fiery, loving woman. A lot of love, but a lot of fire. And she goes, you don't want to go there. And I go, let me go back down. And, you know, but she was good at saying, you know, you're not done arguing with me, but you're picking on me. No. What do you want to say? What do you need to say? Let's get this out and done with. You know? A Course in Miracles says, remember this. I love this. Remember this. Whenever two of you are angry or upset, remember this. One of you is always saner than the other. That's true, isn't it? Now, one of you is always a little saner than the other. And the one who is saner asks for help. God, help me. Or, you know, I have a friend, Phil Smedstad. He's the guy I was talking about that was holding me when I totaled my car. Big bear guy, Swedish, big beard, like a bear, you know. And Stahl would say, Jared, call Phil for some help. Call for some support. And sometimes I would go, no, because you'll make me laugh. It kept me feeling better, and I'm really having fun being a snake. You know? And then 10 minutes later, I'd call him, and I'd be laughing, you know, because he just had a way of taking whatever it was and helping me see it different. The one thing, like I say, I think for me is very important to remember is that I don't care how crazy the world looks, everyone out there is firing at all cylinders. And the more I say, God, those idiots, I'm not going to make anything, the more I begin to realize, you know, I probably have some stuff that I know. And all I need to do is have some compassion, because I've also known that I've been there, and I know the pain of being right, or being upset, or being whatever, going out the sword every time. Yes, ma'am.
Well, back in 2012, I wrote into the ACMI about my gender identity. And here's what they care about. A Course in Miracles aims only to help us choose the Holy Spirit as the teacher in our mind instead of the ego. It helps us learn how to use our lives in a world to awaken from a dream that we separate from God. We do this by learning to see everyone without exception as sharing the same interest because we all share the perfect oneness of God. Gender does not matter. Nothing but the body matters. Only the purpose we give the body matters. Whether we use our bodies to keep us separate from each other or under the thought system to separate, we have chosen not to matter to God whether you live your life as male or female. He cares only about what you mind that you use. You mind to express His love for you and everyone else. This has to do only with the attitude in your mind, not your body.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. The spirit doesn't care about the body.
So I have a question, Dan. So one of the things, when we're going along and, there's times when you go along and the communication is just good and wonderful and I think, and then it seems like you can have a time where it just starts getting more and more just ornery, a little, that undercurrent of something. There's something going on, okay? And I just wondered if there's a better way to address that, because the only thing I need to say is, there's a problem here.
Yeah.
And if the other person said, I don't see there is any problem, the only thing I know to say is, so what you're saying to me is, you're saying you've got a problem and I want no input. You just deal with the problem and handle it. And all I can say and what I say to him is, I don't think you're going to like you've got nothing to say about this, so I'm going to make a decision based only on my information. You have no decision. I wonder if there's a better way to address that when that happens, because I don't want to force, that. Only when I see something happening that and in a way I see it and I go, I've been on this road before and it leads if we don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you address that differently, or how would someone maybe I'm not being real kind in the way I'm addressing it, but I don't know how to say it differently.
Okay, actually, in my opinion, any communication, even if it's wrong or bad, is better than none. Even if you attack, okay, because you could always say, okay, you know what, guys, I'm blaming you right now, so I need some time to take away. Let me get clear on this. But you started the conversation. What I have found, this is for me, is when I'm doing my ascension. Let's say there was a period of time when I was working on my mom, and I had done light years of work on my mom. A lot of love, but every now and then, you know how it is, something comes up that reminds you of an old hurt. And what I would do is I would put my hurt, my anger, my rage at my mom on an altar, like an altar to God. I just let it sit there, and then I would just ascend. Bring the presence of God into my presence while my hate is festering. And I don't try to stop the hate or the anger. I take 100% responsibility. I'm the one who's angry. I'm the one who's hateful. And I know there's a cost, is there not, for hating? So I know there's a cost. You take 100% responsibility and just let it be and choose in the presence of God. And I have not seen anything where those sharp edges begin to get sanded. No. What happens is, but it's not about obliterating the problem. It's about coming to peace with your own stuff. And this is why I said I have found that I could be in heaven in the midst of hell. Because there was a part of me that was saying, you may not agree with me, and I'm fine with it, but there was a part of me, it was like God was saying, of course you're in hell, of course you hate her, you're human. you were hurt. She said things that hurt you, of course. You're hurt. But I don't want you to hurt forever. You know, it's time to get up. Time to grow up. Time to grow smart. And, you know, slowly, but this is what I have found is be honest with yourself and be honest with your partner. You know, I have something to share with you, and I feel. Now remember, instead of you always, I feel that you don't want to hear me. You know, and he may say, well, right now I'm thinking about the garden, I'm thinking about the dogs. Right now, no, I don't. Can we talk later? Oh, I could live with that. You hear him like you're having a conversation. You know, but am I answering your question? Okay, because I've been there myself, and I've learned you know it's not about getting him, it's about getting you to what's going on with you. And I have seen so many times when somebody says something and then the other person goes, oh, I see what you're saying. So, you know, being a man, it took me many years to realize that many times when a woman, my girlfriend, was complaining, she didn't want advice. She wanted somebody to listen. And I would give advice, and then we'd have a fight. You know, like, well, you're supposed to, yes, I know so much. You should, you know, and we would have a fight. And what I realized over the years, thousands of years, is that they want somebody to listen. And sometimes they'll say, okay, so what do you think I should do? You have an idea. This is, I mean, this is, you know, does this make sense? Yes.
Yeah, the problem with the guy is that when my wife starts doing her thing, talking about 35, 40 years ago, if you're a guy and you can't hunt it down and kill it,
Right.
you have this problem with wanting to just eliminate this conversation.
Correct.
You're like, it doesn't make any difference to me. Well, they don't want to hear that it doesn't make any difference to you. But that's always been, you know, I will have those kind of answers because in a sense, I can't go back there 40 years and fix nothing. And so guys have this problem of wanting to, you know, if it's a problem, I can fix it, make it better, and then walk away.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to do when it's a memory.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One of my teachers said, in a good relationship, the man rows the boat and the woman steers. And it's true because men, we're good at hunting, fishing, getting that power. We know how to get the power and move things. But women can look ahead and go, we go this way, we're going to wreck the environment. We go this way, we're going to mess up with the kids. So steer that way. We're going to steer. And I really love that. Because women have a way of saying that we don't see.
That's not universal.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
No, that's not universal at all. I think just the opposite.
Okay.
So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, tell me why. I don't know what you're saying.
Well, it's pretty simple.
I'm not gonna say that's the only way.
If you have a more global view of the universe and things in general, and have a sense of, well, I was a master planner by profession in city planning, so I used to do planning for neighborhoods and communities and helping people see the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of times, if you're with somebody who doesn't necessarily want to go beyond the step they are now, that's not a gender thing. That's just who they are.
Oh, yeah.
If they're happy with who they are and they don't want to change who they are, then it doesn't matter. Because you can be as out here as much as you want, but if they still want to be in the house, basically, then that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I love what you're saying, but it doesn't always appear, or it's not necessarily universal.
Yeah, and it has none, as Brenda said, it has nothing to do with gender actually. Because I have a
I'm not talking about gender.
Yeah, but personally, I have a lot of feminine in me. I feel like, you know, and so so it's not about man versus woman, but there's usually I'm gonna get in trouble here, but usually I find in a relationship one who has more feminine and one more male. And it doesn't matter what the sex is, you know, but it's, you know, once again, what I wanted to say about my clothes is just the basic, what I want to close on this is, number one, be gentle with yourself. You're gonna make mistakes. And communicate, honestly, responsibly. And that's all. I'm gonna leave it at that. Bless you all. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's announce.
Announcement? Oh. Okay. I don't know how to do it.
Just read it.
Oh.
Stand up there so the mic, so they can see it.
Okay, everyone is invited this evening and every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. for meditation. Monday evenings at 6:30, Neil Landau will lead African drumming class. All welcome to attend, and emphasis is placed on making music accessible to all skill levels. Our spring boutique is this Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. We have a spring boutique this week or something? I don't know.
Apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, spring boutique this Friday from 5 to 7 and Saturday 8 to noon. Please bring your gently used spring and summer clothing and accessories. We also need volunteers to help set up on Friday from 1 to 3 and help tear down on Saturday at noon. March 31st, we finished our 5th season of being a crisis cold center. We were open 52 nights and had at least 25 guests each night. Our shelter is run by volunteers and 100% financially supported by donations. Without your help, it would not have been possible. Next Sunday, we will have Amy Burnett back to our platform as our guest speaker. Amy has been a dedicated member for over 12 years and currently serves as our board president. Next Sunday, there will be a 9:15 Youth Thought Adult Education. There will not be a 9:15 because it's Friendship Sunday. Our community covered continues to support many families. So we ask everybody, if it's possible, to bring something every week or create something to help feed a family. It helps a lot. We are happy to announce that thanks to the collaboration of Rick Digel and John Russ, our community through music summer series is happening again. Oh, this is a free concert on the last Saturday of each month. May through September, it features a variety of local musicians. On May 30th at 7 p.m., we will welcome Bailey Stewart, David Walrod, and Drum Medicine to our outdoor stand. Okay, anything to add or not? Gracias. Bless you all. Amen.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Brenda, did you turn the?
Everyone get a book? Good.